Hello everyone, it's Xander from Legion of Legendary Soldiers, and today I'm bringing you a Gorseval Training video from the Conditioned Necromancer tank point of view. And before we start, I'm going to run you through the build real fast, starting with the gear. So I run a Viper Scepter and Dagger, and then Dagger, and Offhand with Superior Sigil of Earth, Superior Sigil of Malice, Superior Sigil of Geomancy, and another Sigil of Malice. And then for food, I run Rare Veggie Pizza, Toxic Focus, and Crystal. And then full Vipers, plus Runes of the Afflicted. I tried to squeeze in toughness on this because the healer I had a little bit of high toughness. I personally ran an exotic Knight's chest piece in this fight, but if you can, it would be much more beneficial to get something like the Trailblazer coat or carry-on stats, something, not carry-on stats, but rabbit stats, something that brings condition damage and toughness. Trailblazer would be perfect because it brings everything you need for a tankier condi damage class. Then over here I would run a Morgem Loop Viper Amulet with Rabid Rings, and then one more Viper Earring if you can, that'd be good. That way you can get your condi damage up along with your condition duration, and your actual bleed duration is much higher in game, it's just not displayed properly here. Moving on to our specializations. We have Curses with Chilling Darkness, Master of Corruption, Lingering Curse. Under Death Magic, we've got Flesh of the Master, Necromantic Corruption, and Death Nova. And then under Reaper, we have Chilling Nova, Decimate Defenses, and Deathly Chill. Here you can see the Scepter skills, and then you've got your Soul's Mine, Blood is Power, Epidemic, Rise, and Lich Form. Epidemic is very important for this fight if you're going to run a Necro, because it makes it very easy to take care of those spirits, and I'll explain more about that later when we get to the actual video. Besides that, that's pretty much all I've got to show you from this panel, so let's move on to the actual training video. Alright guys, here we are at the actual Gorseval encounter. You will have to glide across that updraft there that just spawned, and there he is in the middle. Real quick, just to run you through this, we have a PS Warrior, a Chronomancer, a Revenant, 2 Conditioned Necromancers, 2 Elementalists, a Druid Healer, and a Guardian Zerker, a Zerker Hammer Guard. And so if you're tanking, you need to make sure you kind of keep him in the middle for this phase. And he's going to have 2 attacks, a swipe and a pound. You probably have already seen him do the pound attack. Here he goes with his break bar phase right there. You need to use whatever you can to break it very quickly. Do not stand in that blue and black goop, because it will instantly put 25 stacks vulnerability on you, and then after 2 seconds it will explode and deal a lot of damage to you. That stuff also changes. The pattern changes on the ground, and every time one of the rings explodes, it changes. So the longer you stay in that phase, the easier it is for your group to wipe, especially because eventually it fills up the whole room. This skill he's using right here is called World Eater. When that orange ring meets the outside, he's getting ready to cast it. You've got about 2 seconds after it goes away to get off the platform to glide to this updraft and land. So the tank should be the only one that lands on the left side of Gorseval. Everyone else should be the right. And see right there, that ground pound, you have to dodge that. And then you got to work him back to the center. People have different ways of doing it, but we like to work him back to the center to get ready for the break bar again. You're going to want to engineer with Slick Shoes for this. Makes it really easy. And then 2 Necromancers also make the break bar pretty simple. So there's your goop again. So now at this point, after the first updraft, you need to have enough DPS in order to push him into phase 2. And right there we've pushed him into phase 2. Some groups will take a lot longer than that, but this group had pretty good DPS. So if you're holding a spirit, you need to assign that beforehand. The way we did it is the Zerg went to the northwestern one, and then we had one person at every other spirit. If you're a Necromancer, the way you're going to hold this is cast 2 Blood is Power, 4 Reaper Shroud, 2, 5, 4 Reaper Shroud, or 2 again, and then get out of Reaper Shroud and go back to your Scepter, and then just do regular condi damage for a while, and then make sure you maintain that chill by either going into Reaper Shroud or using number 4 skill. If he gets really close, you're going to want to use your Immobilize with Dagger. Also, if you end up taking a lot of damage and you've used your heal skill and you don't have any Reaper Shroud, I would suggest using your number 2 skill with Dagger. So there's his pound, you have to dodge that. And then he's also spawning the blue orbs, which you just saw one in the corner of the screen there. That is now the Tempest job. If there is one of those up, they need to throw a lava font on it. It's very important that they get the full might, because if they don't, those orbs can sometimes be very difficult to take down. Also, something to mention is the way you split it is everyone goes in group 1 except for the healer, who goes in his own group in group 3, and then the Revenant, Chronomancer, and Hammer Guardian should go in group 2, because Hammer Guard's DPS is really only significant when he has quickness. So here we're moving all the way to the wall, and you saw this in the previous phase. The video is just going too fast for me to keep up. You need to get all the way to the wall, so when he spawns the spirits, you need to have the whole raid move over to the wall, and then when you get there, if you've got 2 necromancers, you need to coordinate your epis, preferably after a ground smash like that, and cast Epidemic onto them after the mesmer is pulled, the spirits together a bit, and then once you use your epi, or when you're using your epi, you need to announce that you're using it so that the other necromancer in your group can Epidemic off of the spirits back to Gorseval. If you don't have another necromancer, it's still imperative that you bring Epidemic, because that really makes it easier to take those spirits out, because then you don't really have to waste the Ellie's DPS on spirits. So after you use the second updraft, you need to force them into phase 3, which we've just done now. We're doing the second charge soul phase right now. In this charge soul phase, if your spirit is pretty close to an orb, you can try to Epidemic it, and that makes it easier on your Tempests. Also, if you come back from a phase, like let's say you go to the split phase too fast, this phase right here, if you got to this phase too quickly, you can use Epidemic off the charged soul to kill the enraged and angered spirits, or if they're still alive by the time Gorseval comes back, you can Epidemic off of him to get them to go down. But anyway, so after this charged soul goes down, it's going to be the start of phase 3. He does everything else that you saw, except now he also is going to do traps, which you're going to see spawn in a second. Those orange circles, you have to avoid those. I was kind of a scrub in this video and got egged twice, but and I also wasn't supposed to move him there. I got a little ahead of myself. So now you're going to break bar. After break bar, you want to move him to your third updraft, which on our mini-map is square. And then when you land, you have to make the decision of, will we go to triangle or not? If your DPS is good enough and no one gets egged, like this group, we could have skipped triangle, but when we landed, there was at least one person who got egged, and there I'm egged right there. And that's where you can see my special action key that comes up. So you need to make sure you've got your special action key bound, because if you get egged, it makes it a lot easier. So when we were discussing right now as we were gliding if we were going to use triangle, and it sounded like we weren't going to, but then as soon as we landed, there was some, I think right about now, after that pound, he throws the eggs. And my guild panel popped up because I was mashing, but see there was somebody egged in the back there, and that really killed DPS because they were focusing on trying to get them broken out. So that's when I decided we were pulling them to triangle. And now here we've got an orb in the way. If he's starting to do World Eater, just run into it, because you have to get the whole raid over there to break the wall and get the updraft. But we managed to get it down before he started World Eater and Epidemic, and then the other Necromancer Epidemic's back to finish it off. Another thing about your rotation, if you're not very experienced at Condi Necro, you really want to be auto-attacking a lot, but then you want to use 2, 5, and 3 off cooldown. And then before you use skill number 4, you're going to want to use Blood as Power, because it's going to inflict bleeding and torment to yourself, and then number 4 will transfer it. So here we go with the last break bar that we're going to get. And the orbs are getting a little built up, but we just went full DPS at this point because we had about 30 seconds or so at this point. And then here I go being a scrub again and getting egged. But I didn't see, in my defense, I couldn't see the arc. Maybe it's because I just lich formed, I don't know. But he should be going down right about now. And that's how you kill Gorseval, guys. If I miss anything, please let me know and I'll update it. As always, remember to group together, win together. Thanks for watching.